In this new series called Multi Billionaire Ideas, I'm going to be sharing 3 multi-billion-dollar ideas that anyone can do. The first idea is to build a space station. This is one of the greatest wealth creation opportunities in human history. Let me explain why. Now, it might seem outlandish to suggest that someone could make $1 billion building a space station, but let me change your mind. Now, if you're familiar with the name Axiom, then you probably know them for their luxury space missions where they send wealthy individuals up to the International Space Station for 8 days at a time for a mere $55 million per person. But most people don't realize that Axiom actually started as a construction company for the ISS. They realized there was a massive backlog of work that needed to be done on the ISS, and that NASA didn't have enough astronauts to do all the work themselves. So Axiom stepped in to fill the gap, and today, they own 20% of the International Space Station. That means that Axiom owns 20% of $100 billion worth of assets for only around $4 billion. And by 2030, Axiom expects their valuation to grow to $1 trillion. That's how much money we're talking about here. Now, what's even crazier is that Axiom isn't even done yet because they're currently building their very own space station that will be 17 times larger than the ISS, and it will serve as a hub for deep space missions to Mars. Elon Musk also mentioned that SpaceX would be willing to sell Starlink access to Axiom for their future space station, which means that these billionaires are just getting started. Axiom isn't the only play in this space either. There's also Blue Origin, who received $4.1 billion from NASA to develop their own space station. The Northrop Grumman station will be an inflatable module 80 feet long and 21 feet wide that fits inside a rocket before inflating in space. According to NASA, the inflatable modules will allow future space stations to be built more quickly and easily while offering large amounts of pressurized internal space at low cost. On top of that, we also have Nanoracks, who won a $150 million contract from NASA to develop their own space station that will serve as a commercial destination for science, research, and manufacturing in orbit. And these are just the companies that are publicly known. There's probably way more private companies out there that are developing their own space stations. But why now? Why are so many companies investing billions of dollars into space stations? Well, the answer is simple. Space is becoming more accessible than ever before, and there are now countless opportunities to make money up there. For example, according to Morgan Stanley, the global space economy is expected to reach $1.1 trillion by 2040. That includes everything from satellite services like GPS and internet to space tourism, space manufacturing, space mining, and of course, space stations. The best part is that this opportunity is still in its infancy. Just think about all the money flowing into crypto and NFTs. Yet hardly anyone pays attention to the trillions of dollars being invested into space. It's insane. Now, one thing I want to point out though is that space stations aren't the only way to make money in space. There are so many other opportunities out there that haven't been tapped yet. For example, there's space mining. $1 quadrillion worth of resources just waiting to be taken. Companies like Astroforge are already making steel out of asteroid fragments that they've collected. So imagine starting a company that builds factories in space to mass-produce high-value materials, or maybe you can start a space hotel. Just think about how much money you could make charging $55 million per night. The possibilities are endless. I mean, even the US Air Force has been selling naming rights to parts of the ISS for a whopping $2.6 million per year. So basically, the moral of the story is that if you want to make $1 billion, then go to space. It's one of the last frontiers on Earth. So please take advantage of this unique opportunity. The second idea is a little bit more controversial, and it's called designer babies. Now, when I say designer babies, I don't mean some rich kid who grew up wearing Gucci and Prada from head to toe. I'm talking about genetically engineering babies to have certain traits. You see, we've already begun to understand how our DNA affects our appearance, our intelligence, and even our personality. In fact, scientists recently discovered the gene that makes you fall in love. So it's only a matter of time until we figure out how to change anything in our DNA. Now, you might be thinking this sounds like science fiction, but it's not. We already have companies like Veritas who've developed a test that can tell you whether you'll get Alzheimer's disease just from a strand of your hair. If we can find the genes that are responsible for certain diseases, then it's only a matter of time until we can remove those genes from our DNA. And that's exactly what China is doing right now. Last year, He Jiankui became the first person to edit the DNA of twins using CRISPR technology. By editing the genes of these twins, he made them resistant to HIV, which means that the virus can no longer harm them. While this is seen as a medical breakthrough by some, it's considered unethical by others. Countries around the world are scrambling to come up with regulations for gene editing, but it's moving way too fast. Once the genie is out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in. And if you're able to create healthy babies free of genetic disorders, then there will always be a market for your service. The money is unlimited. That being said, I don't think you should try this at home anytime soon. This is definitely something that should be left up to the professionals. Finally, the third idea is the world's most valuable currency. Everyone knows that Bitcoin is hot right now. Everyone's favorite uncle who never leaves his basement is suddenly a millionaire because he bought Bitcoin back in 2010. But most people don't realize that Bitcoin is nothing more than an experiment. It's like a science project that some nerd worked on in his parents' basement, and then suddenly everyone cared about it. But what if I told you that there was a digital currency that was developed by the CIA during the Cold War, and it holds way more value than anything else out there? It's called Liberty Dollars, and it's based on the gold standard. Unlike Bitcoin, which is purely speculative and completely unregulated, Liberty Dollars are backed by real tangible assets, gold and silver. And because they're decentralized, it makes them extremely safe and secure. Not only are they great for everyday transactions, but they also hold value over time, unlike cash, which is constantly losing value due to inflation. If you want to invest in this, then you can buy Liberty Dollars online and then use them just like you would any other cryptocurrency. Look, all three of these ideas are extremely high risk, but they're also extremely high reward. The average return on investment for space exploration is around 10x. So if you invest $1 billion, you can expect to make $10 billion. And when it comes to designer babies, the sky really is the limit. When you're dealing with something that's never been done before, the potential is limitless. And finally, when it comes to Liberty Dollars, well, it's hard to predict how things will go. But one thing is for sure, the future belongs to digital currencies. Now, before you go and start spending all your money on space stations, I just want to say that these are just ideas. I have no clue how any of these will pan out. These are simply things to think about and to research further. But the main takeaway from all of this is that there are so many amazing opportunities out there if you're willing to look for them. Don't just settle for a boring old job and a pension. There's so much more out there for you if you dare to dream big. And that's why, thank you so much for watching.